For the first time ever in 2021, Valve let players choose their own rarity for skins. And while it seemed fine at the time, it created for one of the most broken collections within the game. Now, in CS2, they're trying it again. But the system looks nothing like it did the first time, which is why you probably didn't catch it. The question of whether this collection has proven to be better yet is still remaining to be seen. Now, as you know, every collection in Counter-Strike follows the same basic structure. You get a random skin at a random rarity with a random pattern and a random float. Your method of getting it may change: weekly drop, operation, armory, case, terminal, but the underlying math doesn't, and they're known for every single which way in which you can get one. What's always consistent is the proportion of the rarities in the specific collection. Blues are usually 5 times as more common as purples, which are 5 times as more common as pinks, so on and so forth. The only different one is red to knives, with reds only being 2.5 times more common than a knife. So blues are everywhere, purples are common, pinks are scarce, and reds are rare. That's the very architecture that makes trade-ups work. It's how prices are determined in the market, whether we consciously think about it or not. And it allows us to predict what the supplies are going to look like. So it's like a pyramid, not the scheme, but the structure. It's going to be wide at the bottom, which is where all your blues and more common guns live. And then as we get more narrow at the top, that's where your rarer stuff lives, your knives, your reds, your pinks, etc. Now, every collection in the game is shaped like this pyramid, except for one, the Train 2021 collection. So Train 2021 came with Operation Riptide. Operation Riptide launched in 2021 along with 3 other collections: Mirage, Dust 2, and Vertigo. Those 3 worked normally, and it's clear by the supply number. There's not a lot of Gold Arabesque AKs, there's not a lot of Desert Hydra AWPs or M4 Imminent Dangers, but there is a ton of M4 Coalitions and Glock Gamma Dopplers. And that's because Train 2021 did something no other collection has done before or has done since. Players could spend their operation stars in the store and choose their rarity instead of just redeeming the collection outright. Blues costed 1 star, purples costed 4, pinks 20, and reds 100. Now on the surface, that sounds like a better deal for the player. You don't gotta take your chances on getting that red anymore and redeem a bunch of stars. Instead, you just save up and you get your red. But what sounds like a better deal for the consumer actually just winds up being a worse deal for everyone involved. Now, if you give someone 100 stars and they can guarantee themselves a red, well then why would you spend 100 stars on 100 blues? It makes no sense, right? 100 blues only gets you 1 pink, right? You need 1,000 blues to be equivalent value to a red in terms of trade-ups. So the redemption volume collapsed. Not on reds, they got redeemed plenty, but the blues and purples, which normally make up 96% of any given supply of any collection, well, no one's going to willingly choose those unless you have 1 extra star laying around from time to time, but it's not going to be redeemed 96% of the time. Why would I buy 10 purples if I could buy 1 pink for 20 stars? If I buy 10 purples, that costs 40 stars. If I buy 1 pink, it's 20. There's no point there. There's no incentive to have purples be purchased first. If purples were cheap enough such that 10 of them equaled 1 pink or were a little bit less, and then you had to take the chance on the trade up to get something more valuable, then you would see more purples being redeemed. But that's not how it was designed. And it has an analog in nature. It's called the cannibalization effect in economics. Think about when Apple releases a new iPhone, it hurts their previous year's sales. Intended, but that's what happens. It eats your own sales. It eats your own market share. So people are redeeming the Train reds, but they're not redeeming the lower chance Mirage, Dust, and Vertigo collections, which is why the Imminent Danger and these Gold Arabesque are so expensive and rare, because no one was redeeming them when you could just guarantee yourself a red. So Valve showed their entire menu and their pyramid turned into a plateau. Reds had an abnormally high supply, and the blues and purples didn't make up for proportionally. The ratios that made trade-ups work were gone. And this all gets worse once the Train 2021 collection gets discontinued. A trade-up contract, as we know, you take 10 skins, you put it in, you get 1 output. That 10-to-1 trade is a supply sink on the lower tier items. It permanently removes them from circulation. So to have a healthy trade-up system, you need that healthy base of the pyramid to feed up. Train 2021 doesn't have that. The base was never built in the first place. So the path for trade-ups is harder. Combine that with the fact that the M4 Coalition doesn't have as good a chance as you think in a trade-up. Now, while there's only 2 guns in the collection that are coverts, Coalition and the Glock Gamma Doppler, each phase of the Gamma Doppler is treated as its own gun. So it's not Coalition Gamma Doppler, it's Coalition phase 1, 2, 3, 4 Emerald Gamma Doppler, making your chance for a Coalition 1 in 6 from a trade up. So you have a 1 in 6 chance to trade up to it, but your supply of fillers is not as great because the supply of purples and blues are abnormally low, and you have the USP whiteout. The USP whiteout is technically a filler, but it's so expensive and rare and factory new and low float minimal wear, you're not going to realistically use that to trade up to the Coalition or the Glock Gamma Doppler, because that USP whiteout and factory new is probably more rare. So you have these two reds at the top, you only have two fillers from the pinks, and those two fillers from the pinks are being fed from a purple pool and a blue pool that pretty much doesn't exist in the grand scheme of things. Now, I think it took a while for the market to catch up to this because the USP whiteout was fairly underpriced for a long time, and so was the Coalition. But now, since it's gotten more attention, those prices have gone up to reflect their rarity now. So while they weren't rare, they were, guaranteed in the operation, it's now created for a higher rarity and a much larger barrier to entry now that it's discontinued. And that's what makes this collection genuinely unique. There's nothing else like it. The rarity of the items is not by drop rate anymore, but rather the choices of the players. And of course, a bug that screws up the trade-ups for the reds, which is now why you see a lot of price manipulation in this collection specifically, because it's fundamentally easier to manipulate because you don't have to worry about the trade-up contracts as much. And I think that's why you see the M4 Coalition so high in price all of the time, because you pretty much can't trade up to it, because even when you trade up to it with 10 Train 2021 fillers, you have a 1 in 6 chance. It's unprofitable, and the price now kind of reflects the trade-up probabilities. So if you're Valve and you've been watching this go on since 2021, how do you fix this system? How do you make sure you don't do this again twice? Let's go take a seat at the Armory with my new chair. Is your computer chair ruining your life? Your back? Destroyed. Your posture? Disgusting. Hello there. I'm Mike Water9, and I have just a solution. The Flexi Spot C7 Max. 3D adjustable headrest. Sacrum and lumbar support. Those are bones. 5D armrests. That's 2 more than 3D. A latex and memory foam seat cushion. Uncomfortable? Don't worry. Adjust your seat height or seat depth anytime you want. Rated for sitting up to 12 hours at a time. You can sit like this, or like this, or even like this. Or kick out your feet with the adjustable footrest. Did I mention 10-year warranty? So what are you waiting for? Try the Flexi Spot C7 Max today. Use my code C750 for $50 off your order. We're so sure you'll like it that we'll guarantee you a 30-day return policy on a risk-free trial. If the C7 Max is not in your budget, consider the C5 chair, which doesn't sacrifice any of the quality or any of the adjustable features. Or you can check out the C7 Morpher, which features a complete upgrade to the lumbar support and upper backrest. If any of these chairs interest you, check the card in the top right of the screen right now. You don't want to miss it. And thank you, FlexiSpot, for sponsoring this channel. Now, the Armory released in October 2024 with a fundamentally different way to go about this. Unlike the previous operations in which you had the option to purchase stars outright instead of play, there is now a time barrier to get your stars with the Armory. So you can't just have a bunch of money and then redeem whatever the fuck you want. And then we're introduced to the limited edition system. They rotate in one at a time. They last for around 90 to 150 days, as we've seen right now with the current AK, and then they're gone permanently. And this fixes the Train 2021 system quite efficiently and quite surgically. First, there's no rarity menus. You can't just choose whatever one you want. If you're presented with a red and a pink, you're gonna pick the red. If you're presented with a red and a blue, you're gonna pick the red. There's one item, you either redeem it or you don't. No cannibalization effect because there's nothing to cannibalize in the first place. And then it's sequential releases. First to the Deagle, then the XM, then the M4, now the AK. So at no point could you look around and cherry pick the best value. Right when the XM came out, nobody knew that there was an AK or an M4 coming in the future, so people don't save up their stars in anticipation of an AK or an M4 coming. Whether you have high conviction or not, that uncertainty is going to drive redemptions for the XM, regardless of whether you use the weapon or like the weapon or not. So it spreads demand across time without it being concentrated at like the most optimal tier, which would probably be the Deagle, the AK, or the M4. And as aforementioned, credits are time-gated, not money-gated. In Operation Riptide, you could, in theory, purchase unlimited stars. So the supply ceiling of the Train 2021 Reds were whatever the players were willing to put up at that point, but it theoretically is unlimited. In the Armory, you have to play the game, so you need to buy the Armory stars, but you need to play the game in order to get them. Even with bots playing 24/7, it still takes some time to get. There is a cap. You could buy more stars in the sense that you can have 5 passes running, but you still need to play. And fourth, now this had some inklings in the Train 2021 collection, but it's even more so now. The rarity is not in the color, covert, classified, whatever. It's in the pattern of the gun itself. Any old pattern of the XM Solitude is going to be market price, but if you get the tier 1, whatever the fuck, big green tree pattern, it commands overpay. So it's sort of like the one gun is a case in and of itself, because you have a 1 out of 1,000 chance to get the best pattern, then you have like a 10 out of 1,000 chance to get the second best pattern, so on and so forth. So pattern indexes and not the rarity tiers are commanding the price floors for these specific types of each limited edition item. And it kind of functions in the same way. You have an X% chance of getting the rarest one, a little bit more chance of getting the next rare one, so on and so forth. So in that sense, the lottery is built in to one gun instead of the entire fucking case. So probably a nice loophole for them too, because I doubt that'll get any amount of scrutiny near what the case system has. But of course, the system is not perfect. The XM Solitude has absurdly low supply compared to the pinks, the M4, and the Deagle, despite it being the cheapest one, right? It's an unpopular gun. The XM, I get it, is good, but it's not as popular as the Deagle, and it was released after the Deagle, which had an absurdly high redemption count, and thus people thought they weren't going to get the value they were going to get as they did when they first redeemed the Deagle when it was a brand new system in the game. So that's kind of a structural problem, right? Because if Valve does introduce limited edition trade-ups, we have the same problem as Train. The trade-ups would happen because you want the rare M4 pattern. You want the rare Deagle pattern. And that's super hard to get. It's harder than getting a low float at that point. You can have all the low float fillers you want and guarantee yourself the #1 Solitude, but you cannot guarantee yourself the #1 pattern, #1 float Solitude. Trade-ups would be super, super profitable for Valve if the trade-ups ever did get enabled. But there's still a supply problem at the bottom. For trade-ups to function within that ecosystem, Valve would probably need to release purples and blues as collections in a vacuum, right? 150 days, the Solitude collection, right? All of them are Solitudes, all of them are purples, but you have an XM, a Negev, a Deagle, an M4, and an AK, all Solitude. That way people are chasing the patterns, they're chasing the weapons, and the floats, and the wares, and thus you'll see a high relative amount of redemptions compared to when it's just one XM, and you know what you're getting. Currently, I don't think it makes any structural sense to introduce trade-ups. It would probably take a long time, especially if they keep continuing releasing it only one gun at a time. And so a lot of people don't make this connection, but the Train 2021 collection and the limited edition collection, they're very obviously the same experiment run with a little bit of different constraints, right? One let players optimize, one took away their ability to optimize. One fucked up the complete supply pyramid that's supposed to exist, and the other one is trying to fix that and mitigate it by not releasing all information at the same time and having strict time gates in which to redeem it. I'm excited to see where Valve takes limited edition items, because pretty much the only way you're going to guarantee redemptions over time repeating by one single person is if you have 1,000 different patterns, which is a pretty good loophole to get around cases if you think about it. So I wonder if they do flesh out this system and eventually they enable trade-ups to happen, especially when redemptions are happening over and over and over, and in theory you'd need 1,000 of them to get the pattern you want. So that usually creates for inflated supplies and thus lower prices. So having a supply pressure valve in the form of trade-ups would probably be beneficial. But we will only have to wait and see. But that's all for today. Thanks for watching live stream tonight.